We're going to allow a few more minutes for all of the applicants to get here and for all of you to read over the packets. So we're going to be starting in just a few minutes. We're just going to some time for everyone to get here, okay?
ask her to speak with you.
My apologies, everybody. We're having a slight delay. We have something that we need to take care of really quick in the office as board members. We'll be right back, and we'll get started with the meeting.
What is your name? My name is Amy. Amy, I met you last time. Jude. So while we're waiting, do you all mind having a conversation? I'm Jude Litzenberger. I'm your network leader, and I was asked by Pastor Don to be here today. Your board is going to join us when they get whatever they're doing done. I am very interested in the ministries that are happening in your church, and I noticed that you have a feeding ministry, so who can tell me about that? Can you, please?
Our church and the UCC Mount Hollywood Church for the last 5 years have partnered together as a branch of the HopeNet Food Pantry organization for the County of Los Angeles. We are open each and every Saturday morning, come rain or shine, including holidays, for an hour and a half in the morning, and we distribute food to the people in need within the community. It comes from the regional food bank downtown Los Angeles, which is the main warehouse not only for HopeNet, but for 5 or 6 other food distributing organizations throughout Los Angeles County. We contribute to HopeNet through our quarterly or our monthly Helping Hands offering. A quarter of that then is distributed on to the HopeNet organization, which funds. Let me back up. The HopeNet organization has a group of churches that have banded together through their money contributions and the contributions of manpower from the members of the congregation to do all the various food banks in the Hope group. Our contributions pay for our truck, which gets us the food to our church, our truck driver, the administration, and we also are able then to buy food from the main warehouse downtown at a substantially lower cost than if we had to go even to Costco to purchase the food. For an instance, when it's available, we can get 1 to 2 pound bags of rice for roughly 35 to 40 cents a bag.
Aren't you proud of that? Who else is doing a ministry that they're proud of here?
My name is Roger. I'm the chairperson of Transformation Unity. Is the transgender ministry here at church. We're the one that keeps the Christy Daniels Scholarship alive to give to students that's going back to school. We try to make the church more trans-inclusive as well as a vibrant, progressive church. And we do social network in the communities and provide a safe space for trans and allies to come to and have a conversation and be in community with us.
That's awesome. How many people are involved in that with you? What's your ministry team look like? How many? Oh, sorry. 6? 6 people. Aren't you proud of them? You know, that's the face of this church in the community. So at our church, we had a feeding ministry a while back, and the line would trap all the way around the block. And, you know, one of the proudest moments as a congregant was knowing that we caused that line to happen. So, and, you know, it's these kind of ministries that really pull your church together and really do what Jesus would do if Jesus were here today, right? So thank you. Okay. Are we ready, board? Okay. I'm going to ask Reverend Cademan, would you please open us in prayer?
Please join me in a word of prayer. God of many names, God of many expressions, God of many faces, God of many voices, we ask that in this place today we would be able to open our hearts and minds to the strengths, the talents, the volunteerism, the leadership and the drive that is within this congregation to do your work, to preserve this church and this ministry. So we invite your presence to be with us. We invite your guidance to be with us. We invite your spirit to be with us as we do the work and the business of the church. And we ask that as we go from this place today, that there would be a sense of compassion, a sense of oneness, a sense of hope and possibility, that we could all communicate respectfully with you, with each other, and that we would just be willing to be together. May it be so in your many names. Amen. So since Reverend Don Eastman is unable to be with us today, he's in Florida pending his surgery, he has asked Jude Litzenberger, who's a member of MCC San Diego, as well as a network leader in MCC and some professional experience, to come and facilitate the forum for us today as a neutral, fair party, because there are many perspectives that whoever is standing here right now, even me, can be perceived as non-neutral and non-fair based on people's opinion and perspective. So no one's trying to dodge responsibility or hide out. We just are inviting a friendly outsider in to kind of remove that layer of tension as we do our work together. And so Jude will be facilitating our forum today, and I would like to welcome her up now. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. And thank you for welcoming me. I'm going to do the facilitation of our conversation today, which is focused on identifying best qualified board members to lead your church forward. I've asked the board of directors to give you the bylaws section that tells you what the qualifications of board members are. That was resolved a long time ago. And I will also defer to your experience on knowing people beyond what's written on their applications. What I'd like to do first is ask for Jenny, would you come forward and tell us a little bit about the format of this process?
Thank you. As I'm sure everybody's aware, the past few months around here have been a little challenging, a little hectic. Things have gotten a little less prepared for than we had hoped maybe at one point that they would have been prepared for. I know typically at the forum for the congregational meeting, we usually present the budget and the proposed budget for the following year and the candidates that are running for election. Unfortunately, we don't have a budget to present to you this year. It will be presented next week at the congregational meeting. As far as the format for today, what we are going to do is we are going to present, I believe we have 9 applicants for board of directors and 12 applicants for pastoral search. In the interest of time, because we have scheduled this only until 12 o'clock, the board of directors members, everybody will have 2 minutes to come and speak to why they feel called and why they want to run for the position that they're running for. Those of you that may be running for dual positions, if you can kind of sum it all up at once, that would be wonderful, so you don't have to come back up a second time. And then for the board of directors members only, there's going to be a 3-minute question and answer period, which will be just like all of our other forum question and answer periods have been. We'll invite people to come to the mic to ask a question. When that question is answered, the next person will be allowed to ask a question. If one person has more than one question to ask, we ask that you get in the back of the line to ask your second or third or fourth question. And we hope to be out of here by noon. Yes, Don. Yes, the packets are separated into 2 separate colors. The beige packets are your board of directors applicants. The purple packets are your pastoral search applicants. There's a little bit of B for board, that's my own stuff. So yes, these packets are for you to take home, to look at over the week, to review, to come back and be prayerful over, and to bring back next week for the congregational meeting, and make your informed consent and vote at that point.
So we've got a lot of work to do, and I want to move right forward. Let me tell you a little bit about my rules as moderator. I have very few. One is we're in a sanctuary and we're church, and I expect respect for each other. I don't need to define that any further. When you come to the mic, ask your question and then move on. It's not a debate. It's a question-answer series. Try to be more like the Democrats than the Republicans, if that matters. Okay, sorry, I'm an independent. What can I say? Have respect for each other. Let's have one speaker at a time, and let's direct our conversation towards the people that are brave enough to stand up here and run for these positions, and accept, that they need to have that kind of respect. It takes a lot of courage to run for a board position and a pastoral search position. I've been on both, and believe me, it's no picnic most days. So if we could please just respect that with each other. I'm sure that there's a lot of opportunity to argue at other times, and take that opportunity, because diversity in our opinions and discourse is really also an important part of church life. But today, let's be respectful and move forward. I ask you to listen with open ears and heart. You might have come in with a certain position. Listen to folks, open your heart, open your ears, and let's move forward on that. Your tone needs to be respectful. I'm a lawyer by training, and I know how to use tone, and I will call you on it. Okay. All right, those are my rules. The people, if you would come forward, let me introduce first the people who are running for the board of directors. And I'm going to ask you, when you come forward, if you would just take a seat down front, because that'll be a little bit easier. All right.
We made a certain number of packets, not knowing how many people were going to be here. We have more packets for the board, for the pastoral search committee, and for the additional application that was just handed out to you that are being run right now. If there's anything that you didn't get, if you could look on with a neighbor right now, and we will have these available for you after the meeting. Please, thank you.
Okay, so will you, 9 brave people, please come on down. Lee Fisk, Dennis Herzig, Susan Horn, J. Michael Johnston, Raja Jones, Roger Owens, Chuck Phelan, Tracy Porter, and Rose Yeager. First of all, give them a hand for being up here, being willing to do that. Now you called them down in alphabetical order, yes, ma'am? You are? Did I apologize. You are
Dawn Robinson.
Dawn. I have you on the pastoral search, not on the board. Is that? Are you running for both? Hey, you know, stuff happens. What can I say? Thank you. All right. So I have called them down in order of the list I was given. So Lee, would you come on up and tell us a little bit about yourself? Who's keeping my time?
Okay. Good morning. My name is Lee Fisk. I've been a member of the church here 12 years now. Can you hear me okay? Okay. First off, on the application, it's kind of a little confusing there when it says current employer, and then it asks how long you've been employed. I've been employed a lot longer than 5.5 years. 42 years of employment, and my background is in real estate finance, banking finance, hotel management, studio management, and currently now in telecommunications. So I have a full array of background in finance and management. Project management is the biggest thing now that I would focus on what I do today with Fortune 500 companies, which include UCLA, Loyola, Palmdale Regional Medical Center. I could go on, but it's a huge responsibility. I step up to the responsibility. My key characteristics that make me successful are my honesty, integrity, being transparent. Transparency, I think, is really, really important. And right off the gate, the one thing I want to point out is that very first issue there with a criminal offense. Drinking can always be a problem for anyone. If you've had more than one drink and you've been at a restaurant, you know what goes on. And my deal was 4 years ago now, I can't believe. I stopped drinking 4 years ago because I went to the football, not the playoffs, what am I thinking? Super Bowl, yeah. And it wasn't even feeling good. I left church. It was the Super Bowl that Madonna was performing. Went into Mickey's, had one drink, walked out, and because it was going on, got in my car. I wasn't even driving. The police pulled up and said, "Have you been drinking?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I've had a drink." And with one drink, that was it. So my correction of that in my lifestyle is just to not drink anymore. I haven't had a drink in 4 years. So I love this church. I believe what this church does is in God's will. I want to do God's will. We've had some struggles, but it's really interesting with board of directors. I think every board of directors group has a very interesting challenge in their time. We've got a new time coming where we've got to reorganize, and we've got to make sure that we're fulfilling the responsibilities of the church.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you.
All right. We'll just hold the questions all till once. That way you have everybody that you want to talk to. Yes. He asked Do I want to question Lee right now?
Traditionally, we do it right after asking a question.
Okay, all right. Don't let me change your process. Come on up, Lee. And if you have a question for Lee, let me put these mics over here where they... Oh, the people need to be in. Got it. And it's- All right. Who has a question for Lee? Come on up. You must be on camera to ask the question.
Hey, Lee. Pastors are pretty powerful, so my question to you is, if you have a political or business stance that disagrees with the pastor, do you feel you'd be able to express it fully?
Can you say it again? Because I
Are you able to express fully a political or business feeling that you have that might not agree with the pastors? You feel strong enough to do that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, negotiation and participation with a group, negotiation is just so important, and I have negotiation skills where I can have the worst adversary in the room, and I don't want to call our pastors adversarial, but I can conduct business within that realm of frustration and anger and not have an issue with it.
Thank you.
My question is, I didn't hear how long you've been attending this church.
Oh, 12 years. Yeah.
Hi, Lee.
Hi.
I'm going to propose a question, and I'd actually like to address this question to all of you that are running. What I want to know is, what is the number one gift that you're going to bring to the board, and why is that a vital gift at this time to the board of directors?
I think the gift that I'm going to bring is I have no legacy as a board of director here. I mean, I'm going to come in as a free mind with I'm not coming to take sides. I'm coming to listen to what we have to do in concert with the responsibilities of the board, and just think about things newly. But again, it's wonderful that it will be on a board where there's going to be some legacy there that helps keep us on track of what the responsibilities are.
Lee, as a sort of a follow-up to your negotiation skills, I know a number of years ago, I think it was 2-3 years ago, you negotiated a very important settlement for the church with our telephone company. Could you explain briefly a little bit of the circumstances on that? Because nobody else could get it done, and you did, and I was impressed.
Sure. We had a situation when we moved into this building. The services we had for telecommunications was the same company that I work for, providing services over there. Trying to get services into this building because of the age of the building, there were some real challenges. We couldn't perform as a telecom provider to the standards that this church needed to keep our online services up. So the situation dragged on and on and on. I was in front of the board trying to negotiate with attorneys to get back, I believe it was $13,000 that was overbilled. And there was just no headway, and the route that was being taken through the board wasn't working at the time. And I was approached because I worked for that company, and I took it to the senior management of the corporation and said, this is a nonprofit, man, and we're a $7 billion company. Why are we doing this to a nonprofit that's taking care of a community? And was able to arrange the full removal of the amount that was due. And money is important. So.
I'm Art Fisher, and this is a question for you, Lee, and the other members of the prospect. What is your expertise or your training, either in higher education or otherwise, for your accounting and money management?
Sure. I have an associate's degree. I don't have a bachelor's degree. My experience just comes from the 42 years of working in those industries. I have been heavily involved, which is kind of exciting for me in this period, is the reconciliations of accounts and construction environment. I'm excited about that because that's something that I'm going to be able to offer to this next session, is some review of what we've done and how money was spent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for your question. Have a seat. Dennis, you're up next. Do you want to just use that mic or here? Would that work best? Let's make the question line over here. Okay. 3 minutes on questions.
Hello, my name is Dennis. Hello, my name is Dennis Herzig. I've been with this church several years. I've served on the board 2 or 3 times. I've been vice moderator twice. I've also served as your lay delegate. So I have a long history with the church and the governance of the church. I also represented this church in the purchase of the Franklin property, the sale of the Franklin property, and the purchase of this property. I'm a commercial real estate agent. So I have, okay. Is this better? Do I need to repeat all that? To repeat that last part, I'm a commercial real estate agent. I represented this church in the purchase and sale of Franklin and the purchase of this. I've been in commercial real estate for about 12 years. Prior to that, I was in local television news where I was an executive. I was the news director of one of the local stations here, previously assistant news director in Miami and a news director in Minneapolis. In all those locations, I had multi-million-dollar budgets and sometimes over 100 employees. So, been involved with human resources issues, budgets, working with other departments, negotiating with other people, things of that nature. The reason I am running, I think we are at a critical point in this church. Not only is that because of, we're missing a senior pastor. One of the key issues I think we need to get over is to get past the petition. To let those issues, we have to acknowledge those issues are done, gone, and to move on. And I think we have to have people on the board who want to look to the future and not the past. And I'm truly committed to going to the future.
Questions for Dennis? Line up at this mic, please. And if you have already had a question, would you let others go ahead of you?
You're going to lower yourself to me? Okay. Dennis, hi. I know that you've been on the board in times when there was conflict, disagreement, and Chazarai.
What was that last word?
Chazarai.
Okay.
I'm from New Jersey. Give me a break. How would you see your role during times like that? Were you a resolver? Were you how did you play in those times?
Thank you. That's a really good question. I would hope that people would see me and that I acted as one that would listen to all sides. Certainly during those times, I met individually with people, and I can remember after some of those times going to restaurants not far from here, having talks with people to try to work things out. Yeah, and I think moving forward, you've got to have people on the board who are going to collaborate with each other and work together on a common goal. So, especially saying what I said in the beginning about we're at this really important time, I think you've got to have a board that's looking toward the future and, with optimism and knowing that things need to get better and be focused on that. So, thank you.
Would you say that in your business practices, wherever you've been, that you consider yourself, would you call yourself a Christian businessman?
Yes. And working in the business I do, I see all sorts. I work, in properties that often are well over $1 million, sometimes several $1 million. And money attracts, especially easy money, and some people think it's an easy business, and there's money to be made in commercial real estate. You see a lot of stuff. And I pride myself with my reputation and the people I work with and the people I've chosen not to work with. And I would offer you up to anyone I've done deals with, or my colleagues, or my superiors, because there are certain things I will not do in my business. And I probably would make a lot more money, but I'm not going there.
Hello, Dennis. Hello. I'm Steve McIntyre. I'm Chuck's husband. I have a question for you. A lot of the problems we've experienced in the church over the last few months have been the direct result of the SOPPs and bylaws not being followed properly, or even in some cases deliberately ignored. What would be, in your role as a board member, what would be your response if a senior pastor or a fellow board member, perhaps even the moderator of the board, came to you and suggested doing something that was a direct violation of the SOPPs or a direct violation of the bylaws? How would you react to that?
I would have a problem with that. You know, I would clearly have a problem with that. And I think, to take your question to the next step, is it's my understanding that they're under review and Reverend Darlene Gardner is involved in helping us rewrite those. So I think it's going to be a major responsibility of the board going forward. And you know what? It's really boring work. It's really boring work going through those bylaws and operating procedures. And I remember last time, one of the last times I was on the board, we adopted something with human resources, and you know, we were looking at policies, you know, that were set up by another organization, and just reading their stuff and crossing it out and trying to combine all that. But it's stuff that's got to be done. It's got to be done, and we got to have acceptable procedures. Thank you.
Dennis. Susan Horn. Let me invite you. If you are in back, I'll walk back there. Just let me know, and I'll walk back and give you a mic. But you have to do it within the time. So, would those of you around him please help me so that I don't lose anybody? Okay, and we'll get you within there. I'm going to try to move it on the time that we've agreed to. Okay. Susan Horn is not here. Okay. J. Michael Johnston.
That would be me. Where do I begin? As you can see, my answers are short and curt, kind of. That's something I'm good at. I stick to the point, say exactly what I mean, and go from there. I am now retired for almost 2 weeks. Let's see, we'll start kind of at the beginning. I have 7 college degrees. I have my doctorate in theology. I was a Christian Church Disciples of Christ minister for not as long a period of time as I would like to have been. I was married, had child. I have grandchildren now. I left the ministry when my mother became ill, and I came out at exactly the same moment, and the world turned for me. I've been very spiritual, haven't been really attended church. I was not allowed to attend church when I was younger. And when I started taking care of my mother, she wouldn't go to church. I couldn't leave her for long periods of time, so I stopped even attending church. When I came to LA, I started attending church, different churches. But when I walked in here, the love was so strong and so wonderful for me. And I just want to be more a part of that, and that's why I'm running for the board. I feel that I can bring out-of-the-box thinking. I'm very good at compromise. I listen very carefully, and I respond accordingly. I have no problem, as you may know, having my opinion heard one way or the other, but I do listen. I do try to understand other people's, where they're coming from, and go from there. Did you see my time was up?
I have a question for J. Michael. Would you please come down now so we don't use all the time with walking? If you haven't asked a question, take the front of the line.
Hi, Michael.
Hi.
How do you see, okay, let me put it this way. Who or what is the highest governing authority in the local church?
God.
Okay.
Then we go to Jesus. And then we kind of hit the Holy Spirit in there. Yeah.
How about number two?
Senior pastor. I think the senior pastor is in charge, so. Was that a trick question?
Hey, Michael.
Everybody.
Could you extrapolate a little more on question 3? What do you see as the function of a FMCC Board of Directors member? You say lead.
I think their responsibility is to lead. I think the board's responsibility is everybody, the entire congregation, the community. I think it is what the board should bring God's love to everyone in a way that's administrative. Does that make sense? No more questions, please? No?
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Raja Jones. Raja, in 2 minutes, tell us how you're qualified to be on the board of directors.
Hey,
if you have a question, line up.
My name is Raja Jones. I've been here at FMCC for 3 years. I'm a college student. Currently, I took classes already in business, law, finance, and management. I've been, as part of this church, I've been part of the choir for 3 years. I joined the worship team as an acolyte server. As you know, I'm the chair of Transformation Unity, which keeps the Quincy Daniels Scholarship Fund alive here in the church to give students a chance to go back to school, help with their funds. I volunteer amongst everywhere in the church through Pride season and through the holiday season with Zion and different ministries in the church. As well, outside the church, I'm part of different organizations. I'm the director of trans services of Somos Maria Valle, which is a movement group in the Valley for undocumented Latino LGBT. And a part of TFED, I facilitate a support group that happens here every other Saturday upstairs in the upper room. What I bring, I just go read the paragraph that I wrote because I had a speech prepared. But I bring myself and the love of God first and foremost. I experience diversity and leadership skills. I can add my personality and skills to the board of directors. I bleed and share FMCC. Through this time of transition, I can do my part and strengthen that we need. I can bring to the church, you, the congregants, and the board of directors. I'm not here to compete per se, but to add and be part of a team and board that is dedicated to do anything we can to help founders get through this transition and make FMCC the most vibrant church that has ever been. To do what was said in the sermon last Sunday, we need to stop looking in the rearview mirror and look in front of you. We need to stay in the present and look forward to the future. And that is where I can truly make a difference. I don't believe in I believe in team. That's the goal of every candidate that is coming before you today. It takes one to be the change, but it takes a village to make a difference.
Any questions?
Raja, I know that you are attending classes. I also know that classes are very, very time consuming. How do you balance the two?
How I balance the two is like how I balance every day in my life. It's work, it's dedication, it's ambition, it's a hard drive. I'm passionate of hard work, passionate to what I do, whether it's the classes, what I do in the community, what I do here at church. And to balance in everyday today's society, I could balance class and being on board of directors as my main priorities of what I need to bring to the church as a congregant, as a daughter of God, as a child of God, to be who I am, be serving through my passionate and caring and loving for what I do.
The one thing I didn't see on your particular form is what I want to ask you. Would you describe your Christian faith journey?
It's been a long journey, but I'll keep it brief for the sake of time. I was raised in a Christian home, but I did not relate to the church in the Baptist Church of Pasadena because I already knew my orientation and my gender identity at that time as a kid. And over the last 10 years before I came here, I was searching and trying to find a home, even lost sight of who God was to me and what he meant to me. But ever since I stepped into the church, I found the spiritual meaning. I found the meaning of what he means to me, what my spirituality means to me. This church brought it back to me. I came out as trans in this church. I transitioned in this church, and it brought the new meaning of spirituality. And spiritual is the one that makes me do and drives me what I do for the community and do for my church, my home, here at FMCC.
Any other questions?
Raja, I honor the leadership that you have showed with the transformation unity and what have you. I just have one question for you. We have a church that's hurting over differences right now, and I was wondering what role would you play on that board in order to mitigate the kinds of real differences that honest people really have about perhaps the direction of the church?
My part in going through the transition and doing the differences we are having as a congregant is for me to ask questions, be curious, stand my ground. If I agree with something, I go voice my opinion to the board, to the pastoral, to the moderator. I'm gonna make sure that as a representation, as a part of the congregants on board, to make sure that everybody's needs is fulfilled, and make sure that I could be a help to the change. Instead of making it be the worst, I'll be the help to make sure we get through this change as a family, as one, as a member, as a church, as foremost. That's what's more important about me for the church, what's best for the church. And if we have differences, we have disagreeables, but it's for us to come together as a family, as a unit, to be one and talk about all different opinions and diversity on the matter and make sure that it's reconciled and upholding the bylaws of the church.
Roger Owens, tell us your qualifications to be on the board.
My name is Roger Owens. I am not going to go into the list of my qualifications simply because they're written in front of you. I've been at this church for 19 years. I've served on the board for 10. I have been in the choir for 19 years. I have been on the CSW, hospitality, worship team, usher. There's not a ministry in this church that I have not either touched or been part of. What I'd like to read right now is a letter that excerpt from a letter that I sent to a friend during the last couple of months. I have never walked away from someone who wanted to discuss a problem. I have never disrespected a person who is willing to own up to their beliefs and convictions, talk to the person before they place their concerns on social media. The bylaws of our denomination are brought forth and voted on by all clergy and lay delegates present at past general conferences. The wisdom, knowledge, experience, and forethought of those who voted on the bylaws, I believe, are greater than the wisdom, knowledge, experience, and forethought of one church. To circumvent those bylaws and or church SOPs is to circumvent the wisdom of the many to accommodate the few. I remain steadfast in my pursuit of justice. This church has borne the far worse situations and survived. I know it will survive and thrive. I will always step out on faith. God has placed a burden on my heart that needs to be addressed.
Some of you came in late. If you have a question for the person who's going to be speaking, please come down early and line up because we're spending a lot of time walking around. Thanks.
Hi, Roger. I know you're a fellow that will agree to disagree, and you're good. I'm curious to know what caused you to write this letter. What was the main impetus of this letter that you gave as a description? Thank you.
The letter came from the knowledge that I know that there is division in this church. I also know that we're going through a transition. And I believe without open, honest discussion that we cannot go through the transition without discussing the division.
Hello, Roger.
Hi.
I have a question specifically, especially since in that letter you said that you would be steadfast in your pursuit of justice, or what. If you're elected to the board, would that include the pursuit of recovering the money given to Reverend Neil Thomas as part of his, when he left, and also rehiring anyone who is no longer on staff? Would you use your powers as a member of the board to accomplish either of those things?
I think I've always been balanced. I've always looked at the facts. If the facts lead to the church as a whole recovering monies that were not due to a person, yes. If the facts don't lead there, I'm not going to pursue it.
The facts as you know them today, because this has been going on since April. Oh, thank you.
Hello. My question to you, Mr. Owens, is given your history with MCC over the years, the 19 plus 20 years, do you think that it's a help or a hindrance because of the history? And do you think that people, or do you want people to vote for you based on your qualifications, or do you think that you will ultimately be voted for based on your relationships and your personality?
It's a combination of both. My history with the church allows me to transcend that we don't go down the same path that we've gone down before. It's not necessary. We don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time we get a new BOD. If we don't have current history, then we will repeat the past.
You answered yes to one of these items on the front, and I didn't see that you explained it anywhere in your application, which it does ask that about your financial debts.
Allow you to answer that question, and I'm going to ask everybody else to take a seat and ask you on their own. I know these are important questions. Please pursue these on your own.
It's an IRS problem. It's a problem that I encountered when my last airline faltered, and we could not go through the bankruptcy court because it was set up very differently. So what came out of that is the company owed me quite a lot of money, and they did not pay my federal tax, so I'm still paying that.
Would you address your qualifications for the board?
I'm not going to try to balance that. It's the right height. Imagine that. I just want to start by saying that I wore this shirt for Jane Siftestead and remind everybody she asked us to wear pink for Breast Cancer Month. This was as close to pink as I could get. I've been a member of MCCLA since 1998, so 17 years. I joined MCCLA under Nancy Wilson. I've served on the board for 9 of those 17 years, both on boards when Reverend Wilson was pastor and when Reverend Neil Thomas was pastor. The reason I want to join the board of directors at this time is I believe that the experience that I've had will lead to greater wisdom in the future. I'm going to repeat what some people have said about the fact that I think the board needs to do 2 things. You know, we talk about push and pull in emails and social media. The board needs to pull an awful lot. It needs to hear what the congregation wants and needs, but ultimately it's the board's decision on financial matters, on policy matters, and to act as an advisor to the senior pastor. The senior pastor, whoever she or he is, can't make all the decisions. It's too much to put on one person's shoulders, and also they need wise counsel. So I would feel that as a board member, I would want to provide wise counsel to the senior pastor. I also think that it's critically important that the board operate from a position of integrity. And I'll wait to answer our Lisa's question at the beginning of the Q&A. I believe the board needs to operate from a position of integrity and knowledge, and I think my experience both as a past board member, those of you who know me and know my service to this church on the multimedia team, on the board of pensions of the denomination, on the financial and personnel teams, is substantial, and I would like to apply all of those skills to the period of transition that we're in right now. I think that makes it an especially important time. Lisa?
Yes, Chuck, I've been here for 15 years now, and I've seen how the church has gone from a very healthy, financially stable, and very well-attended church to a very diminishing, low energy, and low morale, and lots of fighting again. Just almost the same when Nancy Wilson left. So how are we going to transition, and how are you going to help us go back to our very healthy transition financially, just like the way you had it when you were a board of director? Thank you.
You partially answered that question, Jose, when you mentioned that it happened when Nancy left. Pastoral transitions are difficult for a church, and we're going through one now, and we need to hang together as a family. We need to work very hard. I also applied for the Pastoral Search Committee. I hope I'm able to serve on that. I was on the last one. It's important that we find a pastor who can unite us spiritually, who can unite us as an organizational unit. And I'd like to have an opportunity to answer Lisa and Art's question very briefly, if I may. Lisa, the thing I believe I bring most is integrity and experience. And in terms of Art's question about qualifications, I hold a BS in management and a master's of business administration. One of those is in accounting. And for 34 plus years, I've been the chief financial officer responsible for contracts and HR at the company that I founded with 3 others in 1981.
I'll be quick. Chuck, I've known you a long time, and I have the utmost respect for you. I have some concerns about there's a ongoing court case that our pastoral staff had death threats against them, and you appeared in court in support against them, and so I have some concerns. To me, the board is also here to support our pastoral staff, and so I have some doubts about electing a board member who is not going to support our pastoral staff when they've had death threats against them.
Well, first off, without addressing that, I did not appear in court. I was not there, and I would not take sides in that issue. It was my husband who went down, and he was asked to go down to offer moral support. He did not take a stand one way or the other, but it was not me. Please understand.
Chuck, you are one of the leaders of the petition drive that started last April or March, whenever it was. And my question to you is very similar to Roger. If you are elected to the board, would you use your power and position on the board to get the money back, to file legal action or anything else for the funds that were paid to Reverend Neil Thomas, and also to use the power and position on the board to rehire anyone that from staff that is no longer on staff.
I'll answer that second question first. I do not believe that it would be wise to rehire the people that are not on staff. As far as the petition goes, there were over a dozen people circulating the petition. I wouldn't describe myself as a leader behind it. I was one of the people that was very concerned. I do believe, however, that we act as a voting body, and I agree with Roger. If I'm elected to the board, I will look for information to confirm what we already know, but the decision of the board, I would not use my power. I don't feel the board should have power. I think the board should be of service. I would use my position to look into it. Whatever the board decides would be the decision. It wouldn't be mine alone.
So the case is not closed.
There is no power. Thank you.
Okay.
It's 3 minutes,
yeah.
right? Is it 3 minutes?
3 minutes is up, yes.
So,
those of you who are inspired by questions, please ask them of these individuals on your own afterwards. Who are we next? Okay. Okay. Don, I wrote it in. Don Robinson, thank you. Tell us in 2 minutes why you're qualified to be on the board.
So I didn't prepare a 2-minute speech, but I served on the board from 2012 to 2014 after I received an MBA from Pepperdine. I have been a member of this church since 2007, and I am rejoining the board because I miss the love I felt in this church when I first walked in, and I felt for quite some time. We've been divided, and I would like for us to we're all a big dysfunctional family. We all have differences. We're all from different backgrounds, and we can disagree respectfully. That's one of the gifts I bring to the board. I'm kind of a taskmaster as well, but we can disagree respectfully and we can all be heard, and I think, and I agree with Chuck that the board is supposed to be of service. We're not supposed to tell people what to do. We look at different things. We sometimes tell the pastor to shut the hell up when he needs to or she needs to. We don't always agree with the pastor and what they're doing. But we have a love for the church and for the people here, and we want to spread that love to other people so that everyone knows that they're loved by God. And we need to show compassion for each other, for the pastoral staff, for everyone who participates and volunteers here. And that's our role as a board, and that's why I want to be on it. And I didn't cry. Yes.
Hi, Don. As you already know from my previous question, my concern is about following rules, SOPPs, and bylaws and things. On at least 2 occasions, I'm aware, you stood up before the congregation, once at a board meeting and once at a forum, a congregational forum here, and you openly discussed confidential personnel information about the 2 employees that have been terminated, and you made statements regarding the reasons for their termination. Do you regret that, and would you violate personnel confidentiality rules like that again? And is there anything here you would want to say that you mistakenly said about these 2 employees that you would like to take this opportunity to correct the record on?
No, I don't regret it. I personally think that we should be transparent about many, many things, that there's information that people don't know. It's unfortunate that people don't know it because that's part of the reason why we're divided. I don't know why so much of it is being held back. It's never easy to terminate someone. It's never easy. When I started as vice moderator, I was asked a lot of different things, and I said, look at the SOPs. What does the manual say? Because you can't just terminate people because you don't like them. But you can terminate people if they're not doing their jobs. And that's what I said.
My question has to do with the first question. Please give a brief statement of your Christian faith. And you said, I believe that Christ lived and died with the purpose of showing us how much God loves us. I'm wondering if you'd be willing to accept the caveat of, and also to assure us of the gift of salvation.
Interesting. Yes. Okay.
Who or what is the highest governing authority of the church?
God.
And number two.
Is my time up? Oh. Oh, good. I think the governing authority of the church are the people who are in the church. So everyone should have a voice. We all should participate. Some people should participate more than others. I don't think anybody should be made to feel guilty because they don't do something more than other people. But everyone should have a voice. Everyone should be able to be heard respectfully. And my time is up. Thank you
very much. Rose Jaeger, tell us why you're qualified in 2 minutes.
Hello. My name is Rose Jaeger, aka Zoe's mama. I'm going to answer a little bit extra. So I feel called, and then I'll tell you why I feel qualified. So I feel called to be on the board of directors, as this is the place that me and my family have chosen to raise our family and to raise our daughter. And we feel that it is a community that shares our values and beliefs about our faith in God and what churches should build as community within ourselves, as well as the face to the public community in terms of delivering food on Saturdays. I don't directly participate, but I feel like it's a very important mission. And our mission to help the homeless on Skid Row, but then as well as to develop ourselves internally, spiritually, through classes, through Bible studies, through home groups, to build community, because we are our chosen, selected family, as I believe somebody said, as dysfunctional as we are. So, that's why I feel called. My qualifications: I served as a board member for 2 years, from 2012 to 2014. In addition, I worked for 15 years as a project manager. I consider myself somebody able to manage budgets, to manage tasks. Part of my time on the board, I spent it organizing those who will remember the table board, and I insisted that we have somebody out there on Sundays to fundraise, because that is what I consider one of our most important roles as a member of the board of directors. So I organized Illumination Month, where we focused on selling illumination tiles, and I also, I'm going to stop. So we'll respect the time frame, but that's why I feel qualified.
Hi, Rose. My question to you is, under the leadership of the current board, it's my understanding, my understanding is, under the leadership of the current board members have been instructed that they must speak with one voice. Now, that I think is interesting, because even on the Supreme Court, while there has to be a decision by the majority of the board...
I'm going to rule your question out of order. It's a speech.
Okay, sorry about that.
Ask a question.
Question is, do you think individual board members, if they don't agree with the majority of the board, have a right to express their dissent?
We actually talked about this a lot as a board when I was on it. And so what I would say is that we agreed as a board, so the board I was a part of, we agreed to speak with one voice outside of the board meeting, but that within the board meeting, that was where our discussion and our disagreements took a place. I think that each board has to make an agreement or make a decision on how they're going to choose to operate. I was a part of a decision that said outside of the board meeting, we would present as one decision.
One question, you were on the board for 2 years and you chose not to run. Why did you choose not to run and decided to run now? I withdraw the question.
So So at the end of the tenure of my previous term, I was in October. I actually didn't finish out quite my term because I had my baby in July and my term finished in October. And so with a newborn at home, I chose to make my time commitments to the first year of my baby's life. I'm now fully back at work and a little bit crazy, but I think I can also find and carve out the time for my church family because she's growing up and she's moving on and lots more people can take care of her and I'm a little less crazy as well about who takes care of my baby. I'm gonna be perfectly transparent about that too.
Okay, my question has to do with the first question, and I was unclear as to the business of expressing disagreement, and you meet afterwards to talk about disagreement. Does everybody meet afterwards outside the board? Or
I'm sorry,
I don't get it. The question was something like, under the leadership of the board, do you think individual board members have a right to express their disagreement? That's paraphrasing. Who made that question?
So I'll again try to explain my position. So disagreements. Ask and answer. Disagreements for me. We need to drag it out and nail it out and do it all in the meeting. Yes. And outside of the meeting, I would hope that we could come to some sort of consensus or at least understand that it is a majority vote. And I'll be perfectly transparent, right? I tried to answer it in my question. I've had disagreements with the board. And outside of the meeting, I agreed with their decision. It's what we chose to do as a group. But each board needs to make its own decision as to whether they're going to support the decision outside of the meeting, if that's how they want to choose to approach it. Okay. Thank you very much. Can I put in a quick plug? I'm not going to be able to be here next Sunday as my father is turning 80. So I'll be in Indiana, but I just wanted to let you know that you all will be in my thoughts and prayers.
Thank you, Rose. Is Tracy Porter here? No. Okay. And I understand you have a comment.
I just wanted to let everyone know that regarding Susan Horn's application that you received today, due to an administrative error, she was not able to attend because of the notice that she received as far as running for the board. That is why she was not here. She wanted to communicate her desire to be here and the unfortunateness that she could not attend. But if you did not have a copy of her application, please let one of us know. We will give it to you so that you can review it for next Sunday. She will be here.
Boy, do you guys have a tough decision to make. These are all very qualified candidates. They all have good hearts, heads, and lots of gifts to move your church forward. There are 5 positions open. I think there are 9. 10? 9? Tough choice. You are in my prayers and the prayers of the other 16 churches in this network during this process. I'd like to introduce those who are not running for the board, who are running for the pastoral search committee. If you would stand, please. Tracy Adams. Camille Aurel, Lisa Arnold, Jeff Aviles, Joseph Harris, Dennis Herzog, I'm going to have you stand too. Dennis Levitt, Daryl Levitt, sorry. Yes, please. Dennis Mode, or Larry Mode, I can't read now. Jim Moore, Roger Owens, please stand. Chuck Phelan, Tracy Porter, David Raybold, Don Robinson, and Carol Scherfenberg. Thank you all for your willingness to do this. Thank you. We are completed with our meeting. Board, do you have anything that... Okay, so those of you who have not already spoken as board and pastoral search candidates, you have the opportunity to come on down and make a statement at this point. 2 minutes? Okay. This is a statement only without questions.
Since I got here first. And I wrote down what I'm going to say, so it's going to be short and sweet. If you have any other questions, you can just look at my application. It's all in there. My name is Tracy Adams, and I'm interested in being a part of the Pastoral Search Committee. I've been a member of MCC since 1997 and a member of Founders MCC since 2013. So I have a long history with the denomination. I believe I have the knowledge and skills to be an integral part of the Pastoral Search Committee. I have an extensive administrative and counseling, specifically substance abuse, background. I hold 2 BA degrees in music performance and psychology, as well as a Master of Arts in organizational management. Additionally, I have a military background and as a result have extensive experience leading others and accomplishing tasks as given. I have started a successful business and have a strong desire to be a part of finding a new senior pastor and utilizing my talents in that process. Thank you.
All right. So I'm Joseph Harris. I am a newbie here. I've only been a member for a few months, and I've only been attending for about a year and a half. This church was pivotal in my relationship with God and me coming back to God. And so I don't feel like I'm running to serve on this committee. I'm offering my service because I feel called to do so. I have been working, unlike the application says, I've been working longer than a year. If you count my time as mowing lawns and delivering papers, I've been working since I was 12. And as of today, I am 54. So you do the math. The last 25 years or so, I've served as an executive in a variety of roles in large and small companies, always in supply chain and product development, mostly in the apparel industry. I've managed as many as 250 people. Is that my time? No. Okay. I've managed as many as 250 people in 7 countries and as small as 2 people that I manage today in 1 country. One of the 2 people is myself. So big company, small company. I've hired and unfortunately fired a lot of people in my career, and I've been very successful, and I've also had some pretty big failures in my career, so the failures are good because we learn from them, hopefully. I think in my background, I have acquired and fine-tuned skills at finding good people, retaining them, developing them, and helping them be successful in their roles, and I think that we need a very, very, very strong leader and healer as our senior pastor, and I'm offering my services to help us find them and bring them on board.
Hi, I'm Jim Moore. Didn't realize that there would be a morning presentation, but I just briefly wanted to say, in addition to what you have in the written information there, I did provide professional resume, which would help give some insight in terms of my people skills, financial responsibility that I've had oversight over, staffing members that I've had oversight over, training, etc. I think I've been here about 9 years. I have to check the record on that. I've decided to get involved in this basically after speaking to a few members in the church. I've known that MCC is a church that you can get involved doing almost anything if you want to step up to the plate. And so in my complaining or voicing of my dissatisfaction of not having a pastor in place, it was suggested to me more than once, why don't you get involved in the process of selecting it? And I thought about it, and I said, you know what, you're right. Yet another thing I'll do for the church, gladly. So that's my short story, and in addition to this, additional information is available from the committee that gives you a little bit more professional background. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lisa Arnold, and it would be an honor and a pleasure to serve on this committee, as it is always an honor and a pleasure to serve doing anything within this church. I've been a member for the past 7 years. I have a 10-year history of human resources, and my specialty is recruitment. And where my specialty will come in handy is I'm known for going after passive candidates that aren't particularly looking to move right now, but that have the skill set and the dynamic that you as a congregation want. I am here to serve you. I am not here to have my own agenda. I am here to find the applicant that has the qualities that you as a church have selected. It would just be an honor, and I hope that my skill set can be of value to you and to finding the next dynamic leader who will inspire us all spiritually, serve the community, and take us into the future of the church. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jeff Avilis, and I too have not been with this church very long, and I think that's actually an asset because I don't think of the way we used to do it, and the way we used to do it, I don't know that way. I just know something that's going to be better, something that's going to be different for this congregation. I've been with Founders MCC for 3 years and became a member probably about 6 months ago. Because to me, it's not so much about being a member to still participate, because from the moment I walked in these doors, I participated. I've become an active member, whether it was with the food pantry on weekends with my friends, all sorts of things that we've done, laundry love, chipping in whenever I can. And 2 weeks ago when they said we're looking for people and we don't have applicants yet, I thought, well, that's a shame, because if you want to be the change, you need to be the change. If you want to see a change, be the change. I've participated in many different things. We're Founders MCC. We should be leading the way, and we need to find someone who will continue to lead, not follow, because we are Founders MCC. And whatever that means, I too have a history in recruiting and staffing, and so I'm used to sourcing for individuals who may not necessarily feel that they're the right candidate, but have all the skills and qualifications. But I'm open, and as a recruiting and sourcing manager for one of the largest financial institutions in this country, which I no longer work for, and I'm very happy to no longer work for, because I'm 52. My life, that part of my life is over. I'm now doing me in the best way I can do me, and this to me is a calling. I need to do this. I need to help this church. I don't like looking back. I look forward. And I look forward to helping this church in whatever way I can and using the skills that I have, my people skills, my sourcing skills, my listening skills, my communication skills, have always served me in the past, and I look forward to sharing those now. Thank you.
My name is Larry Mode. My name is Larry Mode, and I sit over there at the 11 o'clock. I've been going here since 82, but been a member of MCC since before that, yeah, in Portland. Shut up. So I was part of the pastoral search committee in Portland for Reverend Cole when he was called and came to the church there. I was on the board for a little over 3 years here in the past, and just felt like this would be a great opportunity for me to be of service in a different way to the congregation in the church that I love. The survey that they took recently, I think, is a key part of the search. I think finding somebody who is in a position that has experience in not a small church, but a church that's on the move, a church of our size, that is able to move it to the next level is key. We need somebody in here that has experience. It's not just a personality thing, it's more than that. And someone that is in a position of experience that knows how to handle issues when they come up, whether it's with personnel that aren't working, aren't doing their job, or personality conflicts within the church itself, and how that is resolved. I did list some of the things that I would be looking for in answers for the pastor elect. Those are on my sheet here. If you have any other questions, call me.
I'm David Raybold. I'm a Christian. I'm sober 17 and a half years, and that has brought me closer to God. And I'm a doer and a worker. I'm better at a background playing role than in front of the cameras. I'm a peacemaker, and I can help create consensus. And I think that my past experience in looking for a pastor, I was on the search committee and left the search committee in the process of my board term expired, and for Neil, and then I was on the pastoral search committee before. I started in MCC in about '84, and I was part of MCC Glendale, then MCC in the Valley, and then MCC, Founders MCC. And I was on the committee that helped bring the pastor in at MCC Glendale. I think that one of the most important things that past experience brings to the table, and what I think that I can offer, is a look at what we need in a contract, what needs to be very specifically laid out for the new pastor that's coming in, and highlighted so that the board remembers exactly what is agreed to from the beginning, as opposed to, well, we said this, but we meant this. And, there's a little too much ambiguity, and we need to have a very solid written document. So I think that my past experience and my past experience with my business leads me to that as something that's very important. And what I said was that we need to listen to what the congregation is looking for and implement that. So thank you.
I'm Carol Scherfenberg. I've been a member here for 21 years and at MCC Silver Lake for 5 years before that. When Neil resigned, I know the process of what happens after a pastor resigns, so I started praying about it right away, about being on this committee. And I had kind of talked myself out of it for a while, because I know that one of the most important things for this committee is confidentiality. And you'll have to remember that, not to bug this committee, because they have to work in the atmosphere of complete confidentiality, which means also from one's spouse and one's best friend and one's roommate. And so Just keep that in mind. And I thought that would be hard. But God kept telling me, okay, so here. The other thing is consensus is the other important thing, because unlike the board, it isn't like 5 to 4. You really have to come to consensus on a decision. And for those of you who are feminists from the early days, remember the processes that we used to go through, that we would have committee meetings of 20 people and we would come to consensus. So I have a lot of experience with that too.
Is there anybody else here that is on the pastoral search board, or running for pastoral search, that is not running for the board? Okay. Whoa, I say again, you have some tough decisions to make. You know, in this process, this is not a popularity contest, it's not a debate, it's a conversation. The conversation after today continues. So there were people, and you know, my job as a facilitator was made a little bit more difficult sometimes, but having to send people away. I know there's a lot of passion and interest, so please continue that in your own dialogue within your congregation. Will you pray with me? Holy One, today we have begun a dialogue, a conversation in which we may disagree on its points, but we all agree in our heart for this church. Let the diversity come forth. Let us work through the conflicts that exist. Let us strive to do your will in all that you have us to be. The ministries of this church are vital to this community and to this world. The leadership that this church over the years has given to denomination, to the community in Los Angeles, and way beyond in its global ministry through the internet. Those are vital things in people's lives. Help us focus on that as we make these decisions. Lead us in the right people. In your many names we pray. Amen. Thank you for coming.